It's October 2015, a chilly day in autumn, the kind where the air feels crisp and the leaves have just started to turn. In the middle of all this, a man answers his phone. John Brennan, the head of the CIA, doesn't know it yet, but this call is going to change everything. It's a normal day until it isn't. The voice on the other end is calm, almost eerily casual. "Hello, John Brennan. Who is this?" You'd think the head of the CIA would be used to phone calls like this. But this one's different. The voice isn't just some prankster, it's a hacker, a teenager, and he's about to make one of the most powerful men in America, who runs the CIA, look like a fool. This hacker is not from some shady underground group of cybercriminals. He's a kid. He's barely out of high school, but he's got one of the most dangerous weapons in the world. A laptop, a bunch of technical know-how, and a total disregard for the rules. His name? Adrian Lamo. Lamo is about to show Brennan just how easy it is to break into a system as high security as the CIA's. But here's the thing. Lamo isn't doing it for money or for fame. He's doing it because he can. And before anyone knows what hit them, this group of teenagers is going to make a mockery of one of the most powerful organizations in the world. Welcome to the story of how a group of teens, led by Adrian Lamo, hacked the CIA, shook the world, and left a legacy of questions about privacy, security, and what happens when hackers outsmart the people meant to protect us. Let's rewind a few years, all the way back to 2008 in Virginia. Enter Default, a kid who wasn't looking to become the face of a hacking revolution. He was your typical American teenager. Soccer, video games, hanging out with his friends, and of course his dog. Just like any other kid, he loved the thrill of gaming, until one day, something clicked. Default started cheating. Not in a way most people would think, though. No! He wasn't using cheat codes. He was using his computer skills to exploit the game's code. And once he figured out how to cheat, he realized something. Cheating in games was just the beginning. If you could manipulate a video game, why not manipulate something bigger? It wasn't long before Default got hooked on hacking. At first, it was just harmless fun. After all, what's the worst that could happen? He'd break into some random servers, change a few lines of code, and then move on. But Default was getting better. He was getting smarter. And one day, he went from hacking video game systems to something far bigger: government servers. He wasn't alone, though. There was an entire network of like-minded teens, a community of hackers who saw the internet as a jungle, waiting to be explored. Among them was Adrian Lamo, a name that would soon become infamous. Adrian wasn't like the typical hacker you see in movies. He didn't wear a hoodie in some dark, secret lair. No, Adrian was just a wanderer, a young, homeless guy who would bounce from city to city, finding a place to crash and a computer to hack into. But Adrian wasn't some lone wolf. He was a part of a group that saw the internet as their playground. And this group wasn't just interested in playing games. They were after bigger prizes, secrets of the world's most powerful organizations. And in their sights, the CIA, it wasn't about money. It wasn't about politics. It was simply about one thing: the challenge. Could they do it? Could they break into the CIA's network and expose the vulnerabilities no one thought existed? The answer, as it turned out, was yes. And the CIA had no idea what was coming. The heist didn't start with any grand plans or elaborate schemes. It started with a kid named Adrian Lamo, sitting in front of his computer in some random internet cafe. Adrian wasn't just browsing the web for fun. He was hunting. He'd been poking around for vulnerabilities in all sorts of networks, and then, by chance, he found one in the CIA's internal systems. At first, Adrian didn't think much of it. He was just curious. But curiosity soon led to opportunity. He started exploring deeper, poking around files, reading documents, and finding weaknesses no one thought were there. It was easy, way too easy. Adrian wasn't acting alone. He had a network of hackers, some who were even younger than him, all driven by one simple question: can we do it? What they didn't realize was how deep they were diving. Adrian, in particular, wasn't after money or secrets that could be sold. He just wanted to know what the CIA was hiding. So, Adrian kept going, rummaging through internal documents. He found names of agents, locations, mission files. It was like walking through a locked door that was supposed to be impossible to open, but the door was wide open. Soon, Adrian found himself in the middle of something much bigger than he expected. Not only had he breached the CIA, but now he had access to information that could shake the foundations of U.S. intelligence. This wasn't just a game anymore. This was real life. And no one knew, at least not yet. Adrian wasn't done yet. He made the decision to contact a journalist. He wanted the world to know how easy it was to break into these systems. The message was simple. If I can do it, anyone can. And just like that, the hack made headlines. News outlets started running with the story, and soon, the entire world was asking the same question. How did a group of kids hack the CIA? When the FBI catches up with you, it's never pretty. The raid happened fast, too fast. 1 minute. Default is sitting in his room, trying to figure out how to cover his tracks. The next, the FBI is busting down his door, storming in with assault rifles raised. Get on the ground, they shout. They aren't playing around. Default's computer is still on, with the files he's been working on halfway decrypted. But they don't care. They seize his equipment, drag him out of his room, and copy his hard drive before it can re-encrypt itself. There's no going back. He's done. But it wasn't just Default who got caught up in this. The authorities soon realized the hacker they were after wasn't just some lone wolf. There was a whole group of teenagers who had been playing the same game. Adrian Lamo was soon arrested, too, after months of staying off the radar. The media ate it up. The public couldn't believe it. How could this happen? The CIA, the most secretive and powerful intelligence agency in the world, was vulnerable to a bunch of teenagers? The world was waking up to the reality that no system, no matter how secure, is truly impenetrable. The fallout wasn't just legal. It was personal. The hackers, now facing charges, had to reckon with what they'd done. Some felt justified. Others were filled with regret. Adrian Lamo, when asked about his actions, would later say, "I thought what I was doing was right in terms of political justice, but 2 years later, I realized I was completely wrong." But the damage was done. The CIA had been breached. The hack had cost millions in damage control, caused embarrassment, and most importantly, it made people question just how secure their data really was. So, what's the takeaway from this wild ride? The kids who hacked the CIA weren't just thrill seekers. They were part of a larger wave of discontent, skepticism, and distrust in the power of the government and the tech companies that control our lives. They didn't just prove that it was possible to hack into the CIA. They showed how vulnerable everyone is in this digital age. The real question is, should we be celebrating them as rebels or condemning them as criminals? The lines are blurred. Adrian Lamo wasn't trying to start a revolution, but his actions raised questions that the government had no easy answers for. Should we really be giving up our privacy for the illusion of security? These teenagers had a front row seat to the truth. The internet is a battleground, and the CIA wasn't prepared for what these kids could do. As we look back on this story, we have to ask ourselves, how safe are we really? If a bunch of kids can bring down the CIA, what does that say about the world we live in? Climax. As the tension in the story reaches its peak, the CIA is scrambling to cover up the breach. They have no choice but to confront the reality that their systems have been compromised. The damage? Around $1.5 million in operational costs, investigations, and relocation efforts for several agents who went into hiding. And that's just the financial damage. The embarrassment? Well, that's priceless. Want more stories like this? Hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for the next video.